Okay, we'd like to thank you all for joining us here today. We'd go ahead and see here. I'm sorry. This is Sean Curiel. I'm the marketing director over here at Novastore. We'd like to thank you all for joining us. We're still seeing some people arrive at the moment, still some people hopping on. So if you could just bear with us here just a couple more minutes. If somebody could go ahead and type in to their chat window and let us know that you're hearing us okay, that would be very helpful so we know that our audio is working. And we'll be getting started here in just about 2 minutes, folks. Thanks a lot. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Once again, my name is Sean Curiel. I'm the marketing director over here at Novastore. Today we're going to be talking about data protection best practices for backup. We realize that people understand, or hopefully understand, that they need to back up their files, but obviously those backups are only as good as your restore capability. So are you really following the best practice recommendations for protecting your data? That's the topic of our webinar today. I'm joined today by Eric Lamarck. He's one of our small business sales experts. He's going to be conducting a major portion of this presentation. And I'm also joined by Jack Lunkowitz. I didn't have a picture of Jack, so I've got this picture as an icon of this head with some gears in it, which is probably a pretty good representation because Jack has been the head of our technical support for many years now. And he's just an excellent source of knowledge when it comes to those technical questions, which will come in handy at near the end of our presentation, especially when we have that question and answer session. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to Eric.
Hi, everyone. I'd like to thank you for joining us today for this presentation. We value your time, and here at Novastore, we are all about time. I am the small to medium business sales expert engineer. This is a shot of our office that's located in California between Los Angeles and Santa Barbara, very close to the Pacific Ocean and close to Malibu as well. You are not just purchasing software, you are purchasing an entire team with us, and with that, let's get into our agenda. Today, why backup? Building a backup strategy, the best practices for a backup, scheduling your backup, and we have a special feature today where we have one of our professional engineers logging on and we'll show you a live demo where we'll conduct a Q&A session there following. Why backup? Simply enough, there are two types of hard drives. There are hard drives that have failed. There are hard drives that will fail, and even if you're running an SSD or solid state drive, those are parts that are heated and mechanical components that eventually will fail.
That's right, Eric. I was looking at a study recently that was looking at obviously a lot of variation between different manufacturers and models, but The general failure rate was between 2% and 14% of hard drives failing in the first 36 months of use, which is pretty surprising. There was a couple models that were as high as 18% of failure in the first year. So if you kind of do the math on that and think that, wow, my shots are 1 in 5, you know, with a specific model of losing my data in the first year, it's kind of scary. It's not going to happen for everybody, but you know, you roll the dice sometimes when they're making these drives so quickly these days, and the quality control is sometimes questionable.
So in continuing with why backup, we know the evident facts that there are continuous malicious attacks. What we've learned in our last webinar, we did a webinar about ransomware, and ransomware now is sold as a service. So they are teaching people how to attack your computers, how to throw viruses and Trojan horses, as well as ransomware type of devices. Of course, people will steal expensive and things of value. Accidental deletion happens all the time, where files are deleted at a certain point in time. The power goes out, a storm hits the building. Software or hardware errors. They're triggered by an error or bug within the natural software or hardware itself. There's also the natural disaster element that we had talked about, and you could be sitting by the pool and drop your machine into the water, whatever those questions may be, or those facts of why you need to back up. Data protection. So copy isn't enough. I hear it a lot, especially being a sales engineer. You know, why do I need to back up with Nova Backup? I'm copying my files with Windows Backup. Well, number one, they're not encrypted and they're unsecure. There's no type of file versioning. They are also prone to user error, meaning that there's no guarantee that you're going to copy these files over directly. And the Windows Backup is not a total backup and restore. It's not going to give you the granular capability to remount an image and allow you to restore down to the motherboard level, which is a bare metal restore to a dissimilar hardware, a fancy way of saying, if I lose my computer and I need to restore everything to a new model, make, and machine, I can quickly remount an image and get everything back without having to reinstall anything.
And it's always like, I think if anybody out there has ever, you know, tried to call Microsoft for support, you know, it's maybe, you know, good luck in certain circumstances of getting a human on the phone, at least anytime soon. And I think that's a pretty big differentiator about using Nova Backup software.
That actually comes with a price. So if you start calling Microsoft, you're going to have to open ticket, and usually that involves with a minimum of $150 and up support case.
Wow.
File sharing services in addition, and thank you, Jack, for sharing that, because it is a good point. You know, again, you are buying a team of professionals here. We not only value your time, we look for every opportunity to save you time with the demo, with the installation, and ongoing service. So continuing with the data protection, the file sharing, again, where you sync with the likes of Google Drive or Dropbox, I'm unsure where that data lives, whether that would be in China, whether that would be in Czechoslovakia or throughout Europe. Nobody is certain for sure where that actual data lives, whether it's encrypted, whether it's unsecure, and then being dependent on an internet connection with weather elements is not a strong backup strategy to have. You want to know that you've got something physical and tangible that you can restore from. Antivirus is not enough. You know, a lot of people believe that antivirus will protect them because it locks the front door. But it's only locking the front door for those things that they know which are bad, those things that they know which are already in their database. And that's why they're updating it on a daily basis. I had shared that ransomware is a growing problem. They're teaching people selling the service how to do it. You need to have protection from the front, the side, and the back. Heading into the backup strategies, I'm going to turn this over to Jack, and we follow a 3-2-1 backup strategy. Jack?
Well, hello, everybody. This is Jack. Backup strategies, everybody goes, how do I do? There's a lot of different ways, but we try to make it simplified, standard. That's one of the industry standards called 3-to-1 backup strategy. To go a little bit deeper into, we have a lot of common environments, anywhere from construction, manufacturing, law offices, healthcare. All those people have critical data that if something happens and if they're down for even a few hours, that can create a loss of revenue. And bad things happen, so the best way is to strategize your backup and be prepared for the worst case scenarios. So moving on, 3-to-1 backup rule. Simply 3 copies of data, 2 different type of mediums, and at least 1 backup offsite. This is just a simple strategy. If you continue with this, you most likely will be protected very well for disaster. Well, we can go on and explain a little bit about 3-to-1. So, example, at least 2 backup of 2 different local devices, which can include anywhere from USB hard drive, local tape drive, and network attached storage, shortly NAS, or if you have small amount of data, flash media. Benefit, local backups are fast, so it's much easier to, much quicker to backup and restore. Typically, you want to keep at least 1 full backup offsite. What that means, you can keep it online. There's a lot of sharing services, Amazon S3 file sharing, Google Drive, OneDrive from Microsoft, or simply your just external removable USB hard drive. Those are very inexpensive and easy to carry. You don't have to stick with online services. You can be protected at home by storing it at a friend's house or in a fireproof safe.
Jack, would that mean leaving 1 USB drive, for example, on site, and then taking 1 off site?
Absolutely. The best way is, if you're a business, probably you should store it in a bank in a safe location. If you don't have that ability, store it with your friends, with your family. Buy inexpensive fireproof safe. Those are about $30.
Sure.
Store it off site. Disasters happen. You have hurricanes, you have earthquakes, you lose internet, you lose power. You may need your data right away. You have your power back, but you have no internet. What are you going to do? Internet backup from restoring from the internet is not going to be possible. So it's always think of the worst. Fires, I mean, floods.
What I'm hearing is having 2 localized devices handy, whether in a physical location or somewhere quickly that you can get
Absolutely.
to, will allow you the comfort of knowing that you have 2 levels of restore.
Always best to have too many backups than not enough.
Copy that.
Type of backups. This may be very confusing to a lot of people because the lingo, it's been around for a very long time. For example, full backup is pretty straightforward. What that means, it's a complete backup of all selected files that you selected. Advantages, fast restore, simple. You have always all the files. You don't have to dig for other backups. Disadvantages, longer backup times, storage space required. But today, storage is very inexpensive. So moving on to differential, differential backups are cumulative changes since the last full backup. So it creates fewer backups, faster restore times just for the data. Disadvantages, you have still storage space requirement, but I don't think those are really disadvantages when it comes to protecting data. Storage, again, it's available to anybody those days. It's much cheaper than your phone bill, and monthly phone bill. So it's very easy to obtain few hard drives, USB hard drives, and at least be protected that way. Incremental backups, changes, modifications since the last, this is actually, I found it incorrectly. It says since last full backups. It's actually since last backup. So if you do incremental, those are only daily changes. So if you backup file, if you did backup, full backup on Friday, then you did incremental on Monday. Monday backup changes since last time, but the Tuesday, the only backup changes on Tuesday. So it's much harder to restore those. You have to keep every single incremental since the last full backup. When it comes to restore, you have to restore them in order that you back them up, because you may be overwriting files.
So with that, Jack, the basic difference between an incremental and differential backup is with the differentials, it sounds to me like that you can it's easier to restore. You just have to restore two backups where you, let's say you had a full backup on a Friday and you had your most recent differential backup, you would restore your most recent differential backup and your full backup, as opposed to if you had incremental backups, you'd have to restore the full backup and all 6 of those prior backups as well.
Absolutely. And incremental is really designed when you have tremendous amount of data and you don't have enough time to perform the backups. So moving on to system image. System image is really designed to bring your computer back very quickly from disaster. Your hard drive crashed, Windows got corrupted, your computer cannot start. So you can actually boot with your boot disk that you create with Nova Backup, and when you have your image, between minutes or a few hours, you can be back and running to the same state when you created the image backup. And at that point, if you have other differential or full backups, you can bring the machine completely up to date. But that gives you very quick uptime, and you're protected with images.
Guys, I know this is some of this is sounding confusing. That's why we're here to help. The days of this antiquated selling software where people can't find phone numbers and can't even locate a phone number on a website, or are thrown into some type of music queue where they're guessing for prompts, are over. With Nova Backup, you're buying our team. You're going to be receiving direct phone numbers with direct emails, and we are going to take the headache out of backup for you.
Right, and all these different kinds of backups that we're talking about today, these are all offered, obviously, as choices within Nova Backup, and this is basically just kind of part of your toolkit that we're going to help you figure out what's the best system for you.
Let's build a backup strategy. So when you first want to build a backup strategy, you've got to ask yourself these questions. What do you really need to back up? What's your available storage, your local device? How much available storage do you have on that single tape drive, that flash drive, that USB drive? How often must it be backed up and restored? This refers to the retention of how many backups that you're going to save, whether it's by age or count. With Nova Backup, you can get granular and be specific, and we can customize it if you wanted to keep the last month of backups or just the last 3 backups. You can save it by either. How much time would you have for the restore? This referred, Jack had touched on it within the different industries and within the different industry standards. Nova Backup has many levels of backup and many settings that allow for businesses to meet industry standards or HIPAA compliances and regulations within there, whether that's taking and encrypting the data and putting it off-site. So referring to the downtime is with the new software and with Nova Backup, we have eliminated staging, and your downtime is minimal, having that local backup to snap back. In addition to the security of your backup, and then I kind of got ahead of myself, we have, encryption and passwords that are required, and you can set that up for those individuals within the corporation or with the business that have access to those backups. How will you access your backup logs and reports? This is one of the nicest features that I enjoy with Nova Backup. I have selected to receive my email notifications from my Nova Backup a summary of the week on once a week, and it shows me that the backups have been conducted correctly. I'm notified only when there's a problem or a report or that there's an error that was triggered or something didn't back up and I can go back in. So that is a nice feature to have. How will you check the restorability? Well, having the ability to quickly test the backups regularly, we have a method of backup that is absolutely fail-safe. It is simplistic, and I'm going to pass it back over to Jack, who's going to suggest the most simplistic way to back up Jack's way.
Well, hello again. One of the simple things you can do is follow those 3-to-1 rules. What we recommend, pretty much whether you are a home user or small business user, to do at least one monthly image backup. Monthly will be the minimum. I would personally recommend also maybe doing every couple weeks for images. Do weekly full file backup of your entire system, and our software has ability to create retention so you can keep multiple copies. So at bare minimum, we recommend keeping 2 copies of full backups. And also for quicker backups for daily, just the differential changes, and set to 5 copies, so you have 5 daily backups. On those daily differentials, a lot of users select to just back up just the data. One of the things which everybody forgets is, I get this every day. I have my new backup device, I put my USB drive, and I ask them, is it working good? Oh, it's a brand new, so it should be good. No, that means it's untested. So first thing, you get a new backup device. If it's a USB hard drive, I would recommend performing the full format of the drive. Yes, it takes 2 to 3 hours to perform full format, but remember, you're backing up critical data. You want to make sure that your device is also working.
Do they still do, like, I remember they used to do kind of like quick formats on new drives and stuff like that?
Every hard drive you get, it never had full format performed on it. It's always quick format is actually image of the format put on a drive. So performing full format ensures that your drive is good, and you can find out very quickly if your brand new drive is good or it failed.
Sure. I should probably add that you know, the Jack pictured here probably does not necessarily sponsor the messages we're giving today. I just didn't. I still don't have a picture of Jack, so I had to get another familiar face up on the screen here. But we're going to go ahead and move right along here with setting up your backup schedule.
So guys, setting up your backup schedule, we always recommend starting from the backup tab. And again, you know, we are here to help set and get you comfortable and confident with the product. So we have 1 through 6 basic backup protection steps. Number 1, you would go to the interface, and you'll see more of this with the live demo with our engineer that's going to be coming online shortly. Where you go to the backup tab, you would name your backup job. You would then go and select the files and folders that you would choose to back up. You would point them to a specific destination in the bottom right left corner where it says for, and then you can go into the settings. We'll show you the settings shot coming up. It may look intimidating, but that's what we're here for. We are here to save customers time, and then you can go in and set up the schedule to run the backups. This is what the settings look for, and it looks complex, but this is what we're here for. I had mentioned it, and I keep mentioning it. The backup is all we do. We do it each and every day, and at the end of the day, I walk out of this building totally proud as I see customers getting help from the early trial stages to full disaster recoveries to small incremental files, and they are calling in and being transferred immediately without any hold time and without any assistance, again, here from our California office in the U.S. Today, we are totally excited to have the opportunity, and we've brought in the resources to schedule your free personal demonstration today. And everyone attending this webinar will receive this slide deck, and you can go to novabackup.com/test drive. Go now if you like, and set up your your personal demonstration today with one of our professional engineers.
And having said that, we're going to go ahead and do a quick demo. It's you know, obviously, you know, your situation is going to be unique. Your environment's going to be unique. And that's why we like to do the personalized demonstrations so that you really get a feel for what it's going to look like in your environment. But we understand that a lot of people that are with us today want to at least get some basic understanding of the software. So we're going to go ahead and run through that with one of our engineers.
Correct. And while we transfer over and turn the controls over to Brandon, I'd like to introduce Brandon, who's one of our support engineers and a professional custom installer, as well as does a lot of our demonstrations of the software. And so Brandon, as we hand the controls over to you, I'd like everybody that's listening to welcome in Brandon into the webinar today.
Do we have you there with us today, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. Well, coming here into the software, we're going to go ahead and go over a quick, brief overview of Nova Backup and the best way to operate the software. Now, coming here, you can see we're at the we've arrived at the Home tab of the software. You can see we have the Express Wizard here, which is for media backups. Our best recommendation is to use the Backup tab for the granular backups jobs that you wish to set. We do have the Virtual Dashboard, which is for virtual machines supported for VMware and Hyper-V. And this backup operation, the Virtual Dashboard, it's made more for the Windows Server 2012 operating systems. And then proceeding down the list, we do have Image Backup. Image Backup is made more for the the bare metal restore that Eric was speaking about earlier. He was going over the ability to restore an operating system and have the downtime of a business in minimal. You could restore the entire operating system without installing the programs and having to go through all the process of bringing back the computer. Now, we do also support many cloud services as well. With that, we can help set up and get the proper cloud services for our customers. So we'll go ahead and go over a brief overview here of the Copy tab. This is for just copy paste. It's an organized feature that we offer where you could take these files like documents and things like that in their native format and copy those over. And here now we arrived at the Backup tab. This is where we were earlier in the slide. Let's go ahead and process a quick test backup, starting with the backup name, where I'll go ahead and just name it NB Test. And then we'll select what we want to back up. So we're going to go ahead and select Documents. And we can estimate the size of these files as well. So we'll go down here to Estimate, and it will give us an estimate of the size and the files and account. And we'll go ahead and specify the destination of the backup down here. We'll give it a media name. We'll call it Test Media. And we'll go ahead and select my local attached drive, which is the 500 gigabyte attached storage. Say OK, and we do have settings here all go in there. We have the ability we have to overview this. We need to make sure the right mode is what we want. We have the ability to overwrite media and append media. And we do have different backup modes as well. We have full, incremental, and differential and snapshot. We do support email notifications here as well, and we do support encryption. So now that we've overviewed the Backup tab and we've confirmed the operation is what we selected, we're going to say OK. And we can go ahead and begin the backup operation. So we'll say Backup. That'll take us to the Status tab, and the operation is very quick. Our backup time is very short. As you can see, that was ridiculously quick. That was all my documents I have on the local machine here. So now we'll go ahead and proceed here to the bottom where it says backup operation completed successfully, and we'll click here to view the log. Now that'll give us a detailed log on the files that were selected and the files that were completed in the backup, and it does provide more detailed information as well as the actual files here that you can browse through and see exactly what was backed up. And again, we can view a list of logs here under the Logs tab. Different backup operations, you can see the backup, the restore, the import jobs logged here, and they'll tell you whether they're successful and give you a detailed log. Now going back to the Backup tab here, or actually the Restore, let's open this up. We can see under the Restore, we can dig down into this, and we can see in the file directory. We browse through and see exactly what we backed up.
You're actually inside the backup right now, huh, Brandon?
Yeah, I just opened the backup. That's correct. This is what's on the local attached storage that we just backed up to. And we're just going to do a quick restore of a document. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll select a single document. We have the ability to support, of course, single file restore. We'll go down here to Settings, and we'll restore it to an alternate location as well. default is the original location, but we're going to, for the purpose of this test, we're going to go ahead and restore to just my desktop. We're going to say OK. And we're going to go ahead and click Restore. And again, that will redirect us to the Status tab. And of course, you can see that was quite quickly. That took no more than just a second. And your downtime with backups is going to be minimal with Nova Backup. So now we can go ahead and view the file that was just restored to my desktop. And we'll go through the file directory. And there's the, yes, there is the document that we just restored. So now again, proceeding to the Logs tab, you can see here, the restore job will be displayed here as well as with the log. I can open that and we can view that and it'll give us all the information we need. And seems to wrap it up here. Let's go ahead and proceed back to the Home tab. And that completes and concludes the demonstration of the Nova Backup simple backup operation and simple restore. Oh, also one more thing I did want to cover. Let's go to the Backup tab and let's cover the ability to schedule. So we'll go over Schedule. We'll save the changes of the job we created. And we'll leave it as the default schedule name will be NB test. For the testing purpose, we'll do daily, but we do support one-time, minute, hourly, daily, weekly, and monthly. But for this, we'll do daily. If I wanted my backup job just to run one day of a week, I could say Friday, and I can have this repeat every one Friday of every week, or I can have it repeat every 2 Fridays as well. So we'll have this repeat every one Friday, and we'll say OK. And then we'll proceed to the Schedule tab, where you will begin to see if different jobs that you scheduled will be displayed here. And you can right-click, you can hold these schedules in case you go on vacation or whatnot. You can modify the schedule, so you can change the date that it runs, the type of whether it's daily, weekly. And then you can also modify the job itself. So if you want to change the destination device, or if you wish to change the selected folders or files, you could do that as well. So again, that completes the demo here for the Nova Backup simple backup and copy restore operation. So I'll go ahead and pass this on over to Eric now, and we're going to go ahead and go over the Q&A with Jack. Thanks, guys.
Sure, and thank you, Brandon. As you can see, Brandon's a real pro. It's not his first time he's done this, but yet at the same time, Nova Backup is very intuitive and quite simple. So welcome back, and thanks for passing the controls back over to our side. So we are going to open it up to some of the technical Q&As, questions and answers that you may have, and we are here to help. It's we're not just, again, selling software, we're selling our services, and we have these high-level proficient people here to help you and to help you at any time you do need the assistance. So go ahead, Sean. There's a couple questions that have jumped up.
Yeah, I just wanted to invite anybody who's logged in right now to the webinar. If you have questions, technical questions, like I said, we've got the head of our technical support here with us today. So it's just a great opportunity to throw those questions out there. And I see that a few of them have come in already, but again, if anything pops into your head, we're going to tackle a handful of them now, and any of them that we don't get to today, we'll follow up individually for sure. So. We've got one question here. Can you back up to multiple devices through one job?
At this time, Nova Backup, you can only back up to one device at a time, but we are working on improving software. So that will be coming in future releases. So you can create multiple jobs and go to different locations, but at this moment, only one location per job. But you can still copy the job and duplicate to go to different destinations. But again, we are actually working on improving this, so we will have shortly updated version.
That's a great point to make, though. When you purchase the software, you're going to get the updates and the upgrades that come with the support, the NovaCare support that you receive with Nova Backup, so that when we do make important changes, that you're on top of those. If my C drive is 200 gigabytes, how big should my backup drive be?
Well, that is a good question. So if you have 200 gigs of data that you want to protect, it really depends on strategies. So I would at least suggest to have minimum of 1 terabyte external drive for backup. Your backup most likely going to get compressed, so you can think about half of that size. But remember one thing, the more storage you have for backup, the better you are off. So at bare minimum, I would go with one terabyte drive. 500 drive can cover you, but remember, more than one backup device should be used.
For a home PC user, they don't have that much data. Should they still run backups daily?
Well, if you do not change files constantly, I would suggest running again, at least image backup at minimum once a month, and maybe once a month do full backup of the data of entire system, and then you can probably weekly schedule just a backup of just the data, your documents, and I would just do full backup of the documents at that point.
I have a question here from John. How do you keep jobs from conflicting with multiple jobs running?
Okay, that's a simple question, and it comes up quite a few times. So let's say I have 5 schedules. They're scheduled to run within minutes of each other. Nova Backup is a very smart software. So what it's going to do is going to queue the other schedules, and they're going to wait for the previous backup to complete. So once the previous backup completes, the next scheduled backup will kick on. So it will stagger the backups.
I see a question here from Fadi. I'm not sure that how the complexity of the answer, but what about the security to protect the backup from viruses or ransom crypto locker?
Okay, that's a very good question. To be honest with you, the best protection is if you have backing up to external drives. If you're going to leave that drive always connected, you have a chance of getting those backups encrypted. That's why you should use more than one backup device and never keep all those devices connected to the computer. Viruses, crypto hackers, they're getting smarter and smarter, and they actually start to target backups as well, because they start looking for all the files and encrypt them. So if you're backing up to NAS device, make sure that NAS device is not accessible via mapped drive. It's accessible via UNC. Nova Backup software has ability to specify username and credentials to access the NAS device. If you're backing up to USB drives, use more than one USB device and rotate them.
Gotcha. On image backups, do you recommend exact image or only use sectors?
When it comes to images, personally, I always recommend doing nothing but full images. The only time you're going to, when it's use sectors, absolutely. Default is use sectors. You do not need to do an entire disk unless your hard drive is encrypted. If you have encrypted hard drive, you don't have a choice. You have to do entire disk. What means if you have 1 terabyte drive and 100 gigs of data used, your image will become 1 terabyte because of the encrypted drive.
How does Nova Backup software handle open active SQL Server databases?
In order to back up SQL, you're required to have Nova Backup Business Essentials license. What we use special plugin which we developed to connect to SQL, and we allow the backing up SQL directly using APIs. So the only way you can back up SQL Live is by using Nova Backup Business Essentials with SQL plugin that comes free included with Business Essentials.
How does file versions come into play with your full and differential systems?
What we use, you set up the retention. So when you set up the backup to append, it generates multiple versions of the backup. So you can, depending on your storage, you can set the retention, let's say, to keep 5 full backups, and you can set for 50 differentials or 100 incrementals, and those are the versions that you're going to keep. And you can set the option to delete the oldest backups based on a number of backups or time. Let's say you keep it for 1 month. And bear in mind that I see a lot of people, I want to keep the backups for a year, and I want to back up every day, but then they don't realize that the storage is needed to keep that. So always calculate your storage with the backup devices.
Yeah, one of the things I saw too is a question, yes, we can script or patch something. One of the things in our office here is that we have everything in-house. And I've seen, customers walked over to our engineering team and had a custom script or patch sent out to the customers for that specific business and that specific backup.
Can I reset image backup to allow backup of only specific files within the program, or do I have to reinstall to make this selection?
Well, image backup is a very specific thing. It's to protect your entire hard drive. So no, there is no file selection in image. You can only select the hard drives or partitions. If you're looking to backup specific folder or file, you use the file backup.
I see another kind of related question here. If a system image backs up your entire system, why not just use system images all the time?
Well, image backup, it's really designed to bring the computer back from the disaster. Yes, you can mount the images and access the files, but what happens if your computer crashed, you are on a different machine, certain folders are protected, so they can only be restored using restore of entire system, and those specific folders are your documents. So Windows file system will prevent you from loading those. That's why we do recommend, when you mount the image, that's why we do recommend still doing the file level backup for ease of use and simple access to your day-to-day, everyday files.
Jack, can you touch on the compatibility of Nova Backup with Windows?
Currently, we support all versions of Windows that Microsoft supports. So currently, we go from Windows XP all the way to Server 2012 R2. We always, once Microsoft releases new version of operating system, we are on time. Same thing happened with Windows 10, and the moment Windows 10 was released, we released Nova Backup product, which fully supported Windows 10. So there is no delay like with some other manufacturers where you have to wait a month or a couple months to get your system protected.
Do we have a version for enterprise environments? We do. We have some other products that is not really our focus here today, but the best thing to do is really just call in and give us an idea of your environment so that we can recommend you the right the right backup solution for your specific needs. Can you tell me a little bit more about notifications? And I'd like to be alerted by email, the weekly job runs or fails.
Absolutely. Nova Backup software has ability to send email notifications. You can specify whether backup, whether you want notifications all the time or when a backup fails. We actually went way farther than this. We actually have included our own email notification. So it's very simple. You do not need to remember your server port addresses. All you have to do is just specify the email address where you want to send, and you will get email notifications instantly.
That's great, and it's nice not to have the redundancy too, if you choose to have a summary like I had, suggested earlier.
Absolutely. And you can include multiple recipients in email notification. You don't have to know your SMTP ports, all this extra stuff where most people do not understand. So it's quite simple, but we also give you ability to specify your own email server, fully configurable with SMTP ports, passwords, but most people utilize our own built-in to Nova Backup for very simplistic use.
So again, it's customizable and
Absolutely.
How you want to be notified and when you want to be notified.
I've got somebody here asking about discounts for multiple PCs, things of that nature as far as our license. Do you want to explain what our license covers on the PC side of things, Eric?
Sure. We have two different types of PC products, and we have different models. If you want to bring up the slide.
Oh, sure.
Of the different types of products that we have. So starting with the PC product, we offer licensing for our PC product, and of course today, especially for those in attendance, we have a special price for you, specific. Once you do the demo, or if you're ready to purchase immediately, that we will throw you, we will obviously give you the hyperlink to that web page. But the products that we have, Nova Backup PC comes with 1 to 3 installations. Right now, it is listed at $49.95, and that covers 1 to 3 physical PCs, both all at the image file and bare metal restore levels. We have a Nova Backup server product that covers basic flat file servers. We license just the physical machines themselves. Then we have the second stage of our server product, which is Nova Backup Business Essentials, that cover the database applications such as SQL and Exchange, and also those virtual environments of Hyper-V and VMware. And yes, that means that a $299.95 product can be put on one host, and that host can be running a virtual environment that has a virtual web server, a virtual file server, a virtual domain controller, and those 4 servers will all be backed up to the image file and bare metal restore level capabilities. So we like to be simple. We don't like to be convoluted. We are easy to work with. We are available at any time. Moving on to the next slide.
If I don't mind me interjecting, Eric, I did see more questions, some more Q&A questions that were very specific to the individual environments. Unfortunately, I had to skip a couple of those just due to time, but I promise we're going to get back to each and every one of you that asked a question that we weren't able to get to today.
Absolutely, and I was going to mention that as well, and for those that are directed towards our enterprise team, we will actually reach out directly to them and have them contact you directly. So go now to novabackup.com/test drive. Just note these are all Pacific Daylight Times. Pick a date and time that works for you, and one of our professional engineers will log on to your system and give you your personal test drive, your demo. In addition to that, as I mentioned, we are offering special deals that are available, and everybody in participation of this website or of this webinar will receive this slide deck and these hyperlinks. Those special deals, if you're ready to purchase today, we're offering a special opportunity for you to purchase at a healthy savings at novabackup.com/webinar deals.
Great. Well, we've reached our allotted time for today. I'd really once again like to thank you all for your time. We know that your time is valuable. Hopefully you got some great details today about our software, the solutions that we offer for data protection. And if you've got questions, reach out to us. You've got Eric's email up on the screen there. You can always call in directly, and I encourage you to go ahead and schedule that personal demonstration with Brandon that you will most likely be with Brandon, who you worked with here today. Again, I'd like to thank you all for joining us. At this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude the webinar, and you should receive a follow-up survey that you can also add any additional questions that you have there if you prefer. Thank you very much, and have a great day, everybody.